Hi everyone, it's Ty from the Misplay here. I'm here today to show off my generated deck profile. If this is your first time watching any of our deck profile videos here in the Misplay, Josh and I run an interesting format where we run everything pure. So what that means for us is nothing out of archetype in the extra deck, and we're allowed out of archetype in the main deck if it fits the theme. And if it doesn't, like we don't really combine archetypes, we don't really use power cards from other archetypes. So most of this deck profile will be generator monsters with a few tech cards here and there. And I'll explain why we use them, why I use them in this deck and how it sort of fits the theme. Generators is an archetype that's interested me for a while, since it came out in Mystic Fighters. And that was this sort of, Mystic Fighters is a set that brought me back to Yu-Gi-Oh! After like a 10-year hiatus. So I'm a big fan of the archetype. They're all big level 9 boss monsters. There's no, I mean, apart from one, which we'll get into, there's only everyone else is a boss except for Loptia. So I think it's really, really neat. I'm a big fan of Norse mythology as well, so it all sort of ties in together. I'll get started by showing off the monsters. We start with running a playset of Loptia, Shadow of the Generator bosses. So he's really, really good. Main effect is quick effect. You can tribute a generator monster, special summon a level 9 with a different name from the ones you control from your deck. So he is incredible, absolutely run 3. Some people will run like a small forbidden engine just to get into him quicker, but I haven't found the need, so I'm just running him at 2. I think he's very, very good. As for the big generator bosses, I run 2 halves. Here's your Omni Negate. Some people run him at 1. Again, I like him at 2. I think he's just incredible. One of the 2 ones you want to always get into with Nidhogg, which I also run at 2. So here's just a summon negate. Pretty much, if you can get these 2 on the board, so they are an Omni Negate for a tribute and a summon negate for a tribute. So they're like the ones you want to get into all the time. So then as for the as for ones that aren't those, we run a Singular Mardell, a Hela, Utaga, Frody, Nalgavaha, he always trips me up. So Mardell on summon will search you a generator. Hela, she will tribute to special summon 1 from the graveyard. Utaga is spot removal. Frody is spot removal. Utaga is more of a banished. And then Nafulgar is protection. Some people will cut down and like only run, let's say like these, but I like to run a good mix of them purely for fun. I think they're all really, really neat. So if you're unaware of what the generator archetype does, they heavily rely on their field spell to bring out tokens, and when your opponent draws, you get out the big one and lots of tokens and use the tokens as fodder. So each of them have the effect of you can tribute a generator monster, be a token, or one of the big ones, to get an effect. This is all the generator monsters I run in the deck. I don't think it's really good to run too many more. Even this for a lot of people is too much because they are all level 9, apart from Loptia obviously, so they can be very bricky. So for the tech cards I like to run, I run a Nightmare Incarnation Iblee. The main reason I run her is when she's on the field, level 9 monsters cannot be destroyed with card effects. So she is absolutely incredible protection for my generators. I run a singular Gizmet Kaku, and you'd guess these are 2 level 9s. He's just a free special summon if there's a monster in the extra monster zone. I think it's really good. I don't use it for much else sometimes than just like a free special summon. And then finally, Gameciel Citadel Kaiju. Obviously it's a Kaiju. If I had the level 9 Kaiju, I'd run that for like other stuff later, but it's a level 9 Kaiju. It's a big boss. It sort of fits the theme. And like I said with our pure variation before, they're all big boss monsters. They fit the theme of these giant, big level 9 bosses. That is all the monsters we run on this. The only normal summon one being Loptia. So most of them end up being sort of bricks in the hand, but we have ways around that we'll get into later. We'll start with the card you want to see in your starting hand every single time you open, the Field Spell Generator boss stage. Now, it is a big card text, but I'll just really simplify it. So essentially, anytime your opponent draws, or for the first time each turn your opponent draws, you get to special summon any generator you want from the deck, and if that does go through, then you get to get up to 4 of your choice tokens on the field, which can be used as fodder, whatnot, and they'll disappear during the end phase. So if you don't start this, it's a bit of you pretty much need this all the time. The archetype revolves around this specific field spell. A good way to get into that is the only other generator spell we run, Generator Boss Quest. Reveal 1 generator monster in your hand. If you do, add up to 2 generator spells/traps with different names from your deck, and then put the monster on the bottom of the deck. So again, if you don't open this, you manage to open this and Mardell or something, perfect. Essentially, pop that, grab that, one of your traps, easy done. It's a way to get into this a lot easier. You gotta remember that this is so good. The deck is dead without it. So there's a bunch of stuff in the spells and in the traps we use just to get this as soon as possible whenever we need it. So going off your opponent drawing theme, we run a playset of Dark World Dealings. Dark World Dealings I feel like works really well in some decks and is just useless in most decks. This is a deck where it works really well. See, most of the time you don't really play too much on your turn because you're sort of reliant on your opponent drawing. This is a good way to force them to draw. So we're going to playset of it. Because we run level 9s, we run 3 World Legacy Monstrosities. If no one's used it before, you can either use one of the following effects: either special summon a level 9 from your hand, or you can target 1 level 9 monster you control, special summon 2 with different types and different attributes from the deck, but they can't attack and destroy during the end phase. We have a singular Xyz monster in the extra deck, so it's just an easy way to get into Jormungandr. Absolute must have, since we can't, most of the generators in the hand are bricks. So this absolutely must have at 3. I run this at 2, but I'm tempted to go to 3, is Kujikiri Curse. Essentially trade him for level 9s, like a discard 1 level 9 to draw 2. Pretty good. I'm tempted to go to 3 just to help consistency. Again, because we are so reliant on our field spell, we're on a terraforming as well, and a singular field barrier. Again, tempted to go to 2 because I haven't really found I'm drawing this when I'm needing it, but I also don't want to brick with it. So like field barrier with a lot of decks, a bit of touch and go. And then to round it off, a Monster Reborn, Pot of Avarice for more draw power, and a singular MSD. You can run this Twin Twisters. Because again, a lot of these are bricks, you don't mind it from the graveyard. I just didn't have any spare. That is all the spells. We'll move on to the traps. Not too many, but for the generator ones, the other one you're searching with Boss Quest is Boss Fight. So essentially it's a metaverse, but with the added effects. So activate a generated field spell direct from the deck, and then your opponent draws a card. So essentially metaverse, and then they draw a card. So you can get that effect of boss stage right away. Absolutely, I think it's a 3 of, because your opponent's going to try and get rid of boss stage immediately. It's typically like their first thing with any spot removal is to get rid of boss stage. So they get rid of boss stage, then use boss fight, same thing, you know what I mean? That's all the generated traps we use. I don't run the other one. I don't think it's that good. Maybe in time I might come to like it, but I don't think it's that useful right now. For floodgates, I run 2 summon limit. Because we mainly play on your opponent's turn, this doesn't really affect us too much. There can be only 1 because pretty much all our generators, if you didn't notice, are different types. You know, Mardell's a plant, Ha's a spellcaster, we got fairies, machines, aqua, everything. And then a singular heavy storm duster because we don't have too much back row removal. I found this typically as a power card. Again, you don't really play much in your turn, you play a lot on your opponents, so very, very good. We'll move on to the extra deck, the singular card. Jormungandr, Generator Boss of Eternity. Jormungandr feels really good once you've already got yourself in a good spot. He's not like, okay, I'm behind, let me get out Jormungandr. It's like, I'm in a decent spot, let me get out Jormungandr to really push that. So his big effect is discard, essentially detach 1, each player draws 1, then each player that drew 1 attaches 1 from their hand or field. And he gets attack and defense equal 1,000 to the amount of materials. So essentially, imagine he's got, let's say these 2, you detach, each player draws 1, adds 1, he goes from 2 to 3. Oh, look, your opponent drew 1. that activates boss stage. It's essentially like, okay, I'm in a decent spot, I'm gonna keep pushing, push my advantage. I love this card. I also absolutely adore the artwork. One of my favorite cards in this deck. And that about wraps it up, guys. If you have any additions or if you had any thoughts or cool tech cards you want to recommend, please go for it. I've only been running this deck for a few months, but I'm really, really loving it. And I just want to show it off, give it some love, because I feel like Generaider's a bit forgotten. You know, Mathmech's a bit forgotten, as Dragomaid is the standout from Mystic Fighters, and I really just wanted to show them off. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Check out some of the videos on the channel. We've got some deck builds, we've got interviews with some of the other TCG guys. And yeah, check it out, guys. Peace.